Hello and welcome to Wise Attraction, the show where we talk about relationships. Our goal here is to build strong relationships using Christian values. On today's show, we're going to be reacting to Blue Therapy, which is a therapy session that two couples went to in order to improve their relationships. Now, bear in mind, these two couples, they're not actually married. So they're actually they're unmarried couples, but they're in a relationship. So a girl and her boyfriend, two ladies and their boyfriends went for therapy. I'm not going to bore you with all of this because it's on YouTube and you can watch it. So we're going to be watching it together and reacting. Today, what I want to focus on is the issue of cohabiting. So moving in with your boyfriend or moving in with your girlfriend. Is it something that can break a relationship? Why do people move in together? And so that's exactly what we want to talk about. And I want to hear your views. I don't want it to be just me ranting today. So please prepare to share your views. Just hit the comment section, say hello, make yourself known. I'll be broadcasting every comment that comes in. But before I get there, if you haven't subscribed to the Wise Attraction YouTube channel, please go ahead and do so now. And like us on Facebook, Instagram. Please like this video and share as well to help the Wise Attraction YouTube channel. Okay, so let's get right into it. There's something, when I was preparing for this show, I found something on Guardian newspaper. I'm just going to read it out to you. It's about cohabiting in the UK. It says, with Boris Johnson and his partner, Carrie Simmons, living together as the first unmarried couples in number 10 Downing Street, data from the ONS, that's Office of National Statistics, shows that the number of cohabiting couple families is growing faster than married couple families, up to 25.8% over the decade. So it means that people are cohabiting more now these days than actually getting married, But the question is why? Why are people... Hello, Mrs. Lafunki. Thanks for joining the show. The question I have is, why do you think people are choosing to cohabit? Like, why are more people choosing to cohabit instead of actually getting married? Please, let's share our views. And while you're thinking about this question, I'm just going to show this Blue Therapy. So I want us to look at the experience of Paul and Chioma. They both went on Blue Therapy. Let's look at their experience and see how cohabiting impacted their own relationship.
You'd like to discuss with Chioma regarding a relationship?
No.
Okay, well, I have something I'd like to bring up.
Yeah, go on.
And obviously, I don't mean to trigger you again,
listen.
we're here to kind of discuss our issues. And I want to put it out there. It's a sensitive topic. It's his family. It's his sister, basically.
Sorry?
His sister. For me, I don't want to be rude about it. I just want to get it out because at the end of the day, he doesn't see my point when it comes to this. But poor sister doesn't like me. And I say this because she always has something to say about me. Every time, she sees me, this is someone that knows me off the platform. For example, this is someone that says I don't know how to look after kids. But every given opportunity, she dumps her kids on me. And I'm not using the word dump loosely. She literally just gives me her kids anytime she wants to go out. And he sees it as experience. But to me, it's more of her trying to make me her babysitter. So you don't like me, but your thing is, I wouldn't mind.
Okay, so this is really interesting because let me just give you guys a backstory about all of this. So Chioma and Paul, they've been dating for 3 years, and 6 months ago, now there's this whole issue whether if there's a question of, is this a real life experience or are they acting? For me, that doesn't bother me whether it's real or they're acting. It's not, to me, I don't see that as much of an issue. And the reason is that the things they're talking about on this show are real experiences that couples have, you know. So even if it was fake, even if they're acting, people go through these things that they're talking about. So it's worth discussing and it's worth like learning and seeing how we can do things differently or do things better. Yeah, so Chioma and Paul, they've been in a relationship for 3 years. They were dating, they were living apart. 6 months ago, they decided to come together. And from what they're saying, it seems like when they decided to move together, their relationship really changed. Now, the clip that we've just watched is Chioma saying that Paul's sister, okay, so she has the impression that Paul's sister doesn't like her, and Paul's sister is using her as a babysitter, as a free babysitter. So it's more or less like she's spending her time taking care of another person's child when she's not a mother. Now, I want you guys to tell me what you think about that, because for me, it highlights one of the issues that I see with cohabiting. So I feel like when you're living with somebody you're not married to, you have to deal with expectations. Now, she now has in-laws that are not really her in-laws. Do you understand? So how do you treat, this is a question, how do you treat the family of your partner? Are they your in-laws? Do they have the right to tell you to do this or tell you to do that? Because the in-law relationship is a very important and tricky one that kind of affects marriages today. You know, when you marry somebody, they come with a family. Now, if you're just a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or let's say fiance, if you guys are planning to get married and you're living apart, you're doing your different things, there might be that pressure from in-laws, but it will not be as much. But when you move in together, you begin to experience pressure and expectations, not just from the person you're with, from their family as well. So I don't know, how do you manage that, or how do you view that? Do you view them as your in-laws? Do you view it as a situation where they have the right to do whatever it is to treat, or they don't have the right, you know? So I feel like with cohabiting, there is some confusion. Let me just give a disclaimer before we go on. Now, Wise Attraction is a Christian relationship chat show, and on here we don't endorse cohabiting. Like a lot of what these people are talking about, obviously they're not Christians, you know. So it's not me playing it or things. That doesn't mean I'm endorsing what they're doing. It's just that I feel like their relationship experience is something that people are also going through, and we can learn from it as well. So the Bible is really clear about cohabiting. You know, the Bible frowns on cohabiting as a Christian, and the main reason, because it's not clear in the Bible, thou shalt not cohabit. You know, there's no scripture like that. But the main issue why that you can infer from to say you shouldn't cohabit is that the Bible says do not have sex with someone that's not your wife. So if you're not, how can you live with somebody that you're in a relationship with and not have sex with them? Has that happened before? I don't know who can do that, who can actually do that. If you're living with somebody, you're attracted to them, you guys are in a relationship, at some point, you know, at some point, to take a real miracle for you guys to really like, oh, holy hands, you know, we're not doing anything, and we are meant to stay away from temptation. So that's the main reason why the Christians will tell you we don't endorse cohabiting. But then I believe that the reason why the Bible takes this stance, the reason why the Bible encourages people to actually get married before having sex, before taking this next step, is that on a practical level, marriage is like the institution of marriage protects. When you commit to somebody, if you commit within an institution, that institution, what that institution entails protects you. So I believe that marriage protects couples that have agreed to enter that union, and not just any type of marriage, because there are so many types of marriages. You know, there are different people in different cultures. They view marriage differently. But within the Christian culture, because that's the culture I really understand. You know, that's culture I practice. Within the Christian culture, the institution of marriage is meant to protect, and that marriage is meant to be forever. Now, with Chioma and Paul, you're seeing that they're having the issue with You're saying that they're having the issue with in-laws, they're getting pressure and all of these expectations when they don't have the commitment to be the commitment. I feel like the marriage commitment is like a foundation that can carry both people if you follow what that marriage entails, but they don't have the commitment to back up the way they are living currently. Bolu is saying, I can cohabit without fornicating under grace. Oh my goodness. I don't believe that. I believe that everybody is flesh and blood. Everybody's flesh and blood. People face temptation. That's why the Bible says flee. The Bible just says run away. When you see sexual temptation, just run away. Like, it doesn't encourage you to stand and say the grace of God help me to overcome and things like that. So not cohabiting is part of running away from sexual temptation. So let's go ahead and carry on with the video.
That if she came with us, why are we taking her children to Thorpe Park? We're not parents. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not a mum. I feel as though of recent I've been sacrificing a lot of my time to look after kids that are not mine.
Okay.
When you become a parent, you make that sacrifice, isn't it? You drop a lot of your life for your children. Why am I doing that without being an actual mum? And the real mum is having fun.
Oh,
Did you have a discussion about this trip to Thorpe Park prior to going?
With him or with his sister?
About the situation, how it was going to happen, that he invited or however it came up?
I didn't know it was happening. He wanted us to go to Thorpe Park. That was good. He went to tell his sister and then she imposed her children on us. Okay. That's just my issue. And it happens many, many times. When they cry, I try and help them. And again, they don't necessarily know. They need their mum, isn't it? Like, every child needs their mum. If I don't know how to shut them up, I'm a bad person. If I don't know how to make her child laugh or smile, I'm a bad person. So why the hell does she keep giving me her children?
okay, Denise. Wow, I literally didn't expect this. And to be fair, I'm very, very disappointed in you.
So this raises a very important issue. And I feel like it's something that happens even within marriage. So you see, one of the dangers, this is my personal view, so this is not like I've done research or something, it's my personal view. One of the dangers of cohabiting is that normally when you move in with somebody, have you ever been in a situation where you moved in with your friend? You guys have been friends since you now decide to move in together, and they're like your roommate, maybe you're in uni or whatever, you're working, you're single, you guys are flat sharing. Have you noticed that you guys begin to experience some certain types of conflicts when you're living with anybody? Even after marriage, there are certain conflicts that you would experience. That's why they say marry somebody that you're on the same page with. That way is easier, because it'll be easier. You have less things to worry, less differences to worry about. So in this case now, you heard when Paul said he's disappointed. No, sometimes when people get married, they experience some level of disappointment when they move in together. Why? Because you begin to see the other person in 3D. This is something I've said on this show a lot. You see more about the person you're dealing with. You see their perfections. You see what they're good at, and you see what they are horrible at. You see their imperfections. And also, a lot of times, people's behavior change because you move in together. Their expectations. So, for instance, now, Paul is already saying you should take care of my sister. His expectation is that Chioma takes care of his sister's children because she's a woman and she should treat them like his own children, and so she should care for them like that, but that's not something that she expected or she planned for. It's just a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. She's moving in there, so there's that disparity, but I feel like within a marriage, when you move in and you begin to experience the shock. Even someone I respect a lot, she told me this. She said, when you get married, you will experience some things will shock you. But she said, just she's in Nigeria. My pastor, she was like, just just take it easy and things like that. So for me personally, not like I'm perfect, but I didn't go into marriage expecting that I won't be shocked, or there are some things that I'll see that I really did not expect. And I know that my husband too would have seen things too that he didn't really expect. So that's what's happening here. But because like they don't owe each other anything, in the sense that they haven't made a commitment to themselves. But if you've made a commitment to someone, I would love you to the end of life, and you make it seriously. Now, not everybody keeps this commitment, but if you enter marriage intending to keep the commitment, when you begin to experience all these shockers, like, I thought you were going to parent this way, because parenting is a big deal. Now, these two guys, they're talking about parenting Paul's sister's children, like her babysitting. But then when they have their own children, they will also experience differences in expectations, differences in how they parent. There will be things that will keep coming up as you live together within marriage itself. But what keeps both of you fighting for both of you's corner, fighting on the same side, is that you made a commitment that you want to honor God for, and you know that you're accountable to God for the commitment you've made. Now, when you're cohabiting with someone and you're having all these issues, you're just like, where are my things? I'll pack my bag and I'll leave this place. Nothing is keeping you, nothing is holding you to anything. So that's one of the reasons why I feel like cohabiting really, like, it takes out rather than adds to the relationship, in the sense that you see a lot more of the person, and then you can decide to take a bow. So I'm just going to go to some comments. Mrs. Lafunki is saying, people that cohabit use the word partner rather than husband or wife. Before, most people do not refer to their partner's parents as in-laws. Okay, as in-laws, as the word in-law is usually used within the context of marriage. Exactly. However, in this day and age, people that aren't married also use the word in-laws, because there isn't another word to identify their in-laws. That's so true, because I'm just wondering, like, how would you identify the siblings and the parents of the person you're living with? So there's a bit of a confusion there as well, so there's this you now have a confusion about your roles. What I feel like within marriage, things are a bit clear. Where to position people, how to do things, how to manage it, because I feel like there's a guide for marriage in the Bible that you can follow. But when you're cohabiting, who sets the rules? Who determines what is right and what is? Do you understand? How do you people resolve things? That's something I don't understand when it comes to cohabiting. Samuel Babalola, that's my husband. He's saying, wow, beautiful bags. Yes, beautiful African print bags up there. Please grab yours on wiseattraction.co.uk. Samuel is also saying cohabitation after moving into the boyfriend's house. She was devalued, made less than she is by Paul and his sister. This is another thing, So it's like when she moved in, and his comment is similar to Karibi Awoju's comment, and Karibi is saying that is see finish. It really is see finish, See finish is the Nigerian slang for saying over familiarization. When you're so familiar with somebody that you just let them go. I mean, at the beginning of the show in episode 1, which is something I've not showed, Chioma was actually complaining. One of the things she started with the therapy session with was saying that she's in a deficit of love, because Paul now spends a lot of his time outside doing work and doing things, and so he neglects her. Now, you would think that, because I feel like one of the reasons why people cohabit is that they feel like, okay, they're going to be closer, they're going to bond better and be closer, and things will be easier if they live together. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, should I move in with my boyfriend or girlfriend? Please understand that moving in with somebody will add to the pressure in your life. It will add to responsibilities in your life. So for instance, now Chioma has now moved in, and she's found out that Paul has just, I don't know, like, she moved into his house and he moved out of the relationship emotionally. He emotionally left the relationship, because that's the main thing she's complaining about, saying that she's being neglected. She's in a deficit of love, So this is something that you need to consider when you move in with someone, it can affect the relationship. Some people, when they begin to see certain things about you, they're not able to handle it. But if it's a Christian, again, I advocate for Christian marriages that practice biblical Christian values, because it works. I've seen it work. My parents have been married for 40 years. My parents are not perfect. They are one of the imperfect. They're as imperfect as human beings are, just like all of us are. But why are my parents still standing 40 years later? Because they are building their marriage. They built it and they continue to build it on Christian values. So I've seen it work. My husband's parents also, they've been married for decades, you know, and what's keeping them? Christian values that they base their marriage on. So if you want to cohabit, please consider all of these things. Let's get back to the video.
Why?
First of all, let's break down the words you're using. Dump. Yeah.
Okay, maybe wrong choice of words, but
So now, if we're actually speaking about my sister that I love dearly, her children that are practically my children, and you know how much I love her children.
so why are you not taking care of them?
Out of the love that you have for me, you should love them the same, and you should look after them because you love me. If you love me and you know how much I love these kids, you look after the kids.
If you're talking about my sister's kids, and I know how much I love these kids, she knows how much I love these kids. If you're going to mention them, you need to be delicate, first of all. So at the end of the day, if you're a person and you know you want to have kids with me in the future, come on, like let's think about how we're going to approach discussing this topic. You can't just talk anyhow. I'm not going to feel like, oh, okay, I want to, try and do something with you if this is your...
I'm going to ask.
Okay, so this is another important thing that's coming up for me. When you get married to when you get married to somebody, that person becomes priority. Now, there's a principle of priority. This is one of the biblical principles. As I say, Christian marriages work, because there are so many principles you can follow, and it'll be challenging, but you do well. So one of the Christian principles is priorities. You need to know what you're prioritizing when you get married to somebody, and one of the priority essentially is your spouse, your partner. Firstly, your relationship with God. After a relationship with God is your spouse. Now, these two people have moved in together and they are living like they're married, but they're not following the principles that can sustain that. Like, it's kind of jumbled up, because now Paul is saying, when we're talking about my sister, I love my sister's kids, you need to be delicate. So he said to him, my sister is very important. I'm more protective of my sister than I'm protective over you. I'll protect my sister over you, so be careful when you're treading, that area. So how is she going to argue with that? Like, on what basis or on what grounds is she going to tell him, prioritize me over your sister? Like, I'm more important than this. You're my girlfriend. My sister has been with me all this while. What gives you that validation to take that place? You see, this is the issue I have with cohabiting. It doesn't have the foundation to really sustain a relationship. So I think, but then I might be naive. So please share your thoughts about this. And while I'm waiting for you, I'm going to share. So Samuel Babalola is saying, when Christians cohabit, should we speak to them? This one is technical. I can't answer it, please. If somebody in your church is cohabiting, the person is a Christian, and maybe the person is a worker in church, will you go and tell the person the person you're living in sin, you're cohabiting? Like, how should, as a Christian, if you know a fellow Christian that's cohabiting, let's say somebody that's in your church, let's just use that one as an example. How, please guys, answer. There are like 12 people that are watching live right now. So please, I really want to know your thoughts, because this is something that I really cannot answer. If you know someone cohabiting as a Christian, what would you do? How will you respond? What will you say to them? Or would you say anything? You just turn a blind eye? Guys, help me out. Mrs. Lafunki, Karibi, Bolu. Guys, please comment. What do you do? What do you do when a Christian in your church is cohabiting, and maybe they're even a worker? The person is also a worker in church. what do? Do you ignore it? Do you turn a blind eye? Do you pray for them? Do you go and speak to them and say, what you're doing is ungodly, change your ways, repent, for the kingdom of God is at hand? What do you say to them? So while I'm waiting for you guys to drop your comments, I'm going to read the next comment by Caribbean saying, my sister that I love dearly, she has become a nanny. Exactly. You begin to take on roles that you didn't plan for. And you see another difference with married guys. Please tell me. I really want to know, what do you say to your fellow Christian that is cohabiting, maybe they're in your church or whatever. Please feel free to share your thoughts. While I'm waiting for you guys to answer the question, I'm going to put the question back up. So, okay. Okay, yeah. So another issue is that, within Christianity, especially if you're a Christian, if you're planning on getting married, I will say to you, please make sure you attend counseling, premarital counseling, because one of the things for a very good session, one of the things you're going to talk about is expectations. You guys need to understand what roles, as a man, what do you think men should do within a home? As a woman, what do you think the woman's role is within a home? Even if you guys might not talk about everything before you get married, it's good to have a feel of where both of you stand, because this is one of the things that causes conflict. Because for this guy now, the woman's role is to take care of his sister's children as though they're his children. Meanwhile, he doesn't even value her to prioritize her above. He's more protective over his sister than her. So I'm going to read some comments. I'll suggest that they should upgrade and get married. So Caribbean is suggesting that if you know fellow Christians in your church that are cohabiting, one of the things you can do is suggest to them to upgrade and get married. Okay, thanks for that suggestion, Caribbean. And Samuel is saying Chioma is calling Paul's home our home. She's contributing to his rent, managing their finances, cooking, cleaning. This is another thing with cohabiting. Like you begin to give so much. It's like Chioma is now giving so much more in the relationship than she bargained for. So when you're going into a cohabiting relationship, what exactly are you bargaining for? Do you understand? What are you going to be receiving? What sort of relationship would you be in? Yeah, so all these things are things for you to consider, especially if you plan on cohabiting. Let's just go back to the video whilst I'm still waiting for you guys to answer the question. More comments to the question.
Ask you both to just give me some idea how your life routine was before you got together. So,
well, speaking for myself, of course, I went to work, I got back, I worked on my business. Sometimes I would go and see Paul, obviously do the whole cooking here and there, and he would cook for me. And, if I was in a dirty environment, I would try and clean up, but that's pretty much it. I didn't feel as though there was an obligation to do these things. I didn't feel like it was my duty to cook, for example,
And how was your daily routine?
Literally up in the morning, out with a few clients, come back, work on a few more clients online, food preps, so I'll probably prep for like the next 4 to 5 days, something like that. Tidy environment.
Right. So how has this changed since you've moved in together?
I'm his chef and his cleaner.
That's how you feel?
Yes, it is how I feel. I've got a busy schedule as well, but Paul likes it when he gets home from work and food is ready. Since I've moved in with Paul, he now wants me to cook every time I have time. In the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon, every second weekends when I come back from work. Honestly speaking, he was eating prior to me moving in, so I don't understand what's going on. It wasn't takeout, you were cooking, so why don't you cook? And the thing is with him, he likes fresh meals. I'm not gonna cook for you every day, I'm not your chef. Again, I'm a Nigerian woman, I don't mind submitting to my husband or my boyfriend. And
you guys see another confusion here. Clearly, this Paul has just been like, this woman has moved in. People have their perceptions about what the woman should do and the man should do when they're living together. So apparently for Paul, in addition to taking care of his sister's children like his children, another expectation that he has is for her to cook his meals and clean the house. So all the things that he's been doing, inclusive of cooking the all the things that he's been doing, cooking the meals and cleaning the house before they moved in together, he's left it to her, you know, so she's there, she's giving so much, but he's walked out of the relationship emotionally because this is what she's complaining about, that they're lacking. And she said something interesting. She said, obviously, I'm Nigerian and I don't mind submitting to my husband, my boyfriend, you know. So you can see that when you cohabit, there's still that confusion of, okay, who's setting the rules? What rules are you guys going by, you know? And yeah, so what understanding do you have? You can't mix and match. It leaves room for a lot of confusion, and I believe that that's part of the reason why they are here right now. Okay, so let's go over to get some answers about someone asked the question, when Christians cohabit, so say for instance someone in your church or a Christian you know is cohabiting, what do you do? Should you speak to them? And I'm going to read some more comments and answers that have come into that. Bolu is saying, First of all, true Christians don't cohabit. Secondly, if churchgoers are cohabiting and I find out, I'll bring it to the attention of the church elders, and I expect the eldership should deal with the matter according to biblical wisdom. Okay, so Bolu is saying that if you're truly a Christian, you're not going to cohabit. Yeah, I guess it's a no-brainer. I definitely get what you're saying, because within Christianity, the advice is clear: no sex before marriage. Even if, of course, a lot of people fall into sin, but then when you now live in the sin persistent, when you persist in it, that in itself now becomes an issue. So Bolu is saying he'll speak to the elders to deal with it in a biblical way. Thanks, Bolu. And Mrs. Lafunki is saying, I will be asking them if they have any plans to get married, and I will be seeking their views about being married as a Christian. Okay, so you have a conversation with them to know more about their thoughts. And Samuel is saying, I think some people cohabit due to childhood experiences. Okay. A friend in the past said she didn't like her parents' marriage, so she decided earlier on not to get married. These may need counseling. Okay, so maybe due to past hurts, maybe you feel like someone has been hurt by marriage, but then marriage and living together is not pretty much the same thing. I think it's pretty much, if you live with somebody, you might as well get married to them, but I don't know. What do I know? Mrs. Lafunki is saying, some people are not born again Christians, even though they attend church. This is the thing, you know, lots of people come to church, and it's good that a lot of people are coming to church. We should be welcoming, but we need to understand that we're dealing with a mixed multitude. Kind of, as I said, mixed multitude, it reminds me of the children of Israel. You know, the people that left Egypt, they were actually a mixed multitude. So don't expect that everyone in church is perfect. Single sisters, hear this one. No. When you go and meet a brother in church, or brothers, when you meet sister in church, or when you meet an auntie in church or whoever, don't expect that they are perfect simply because they're in church. Because within the church, we have a mixed multitude, and we welcome everybody and hope that the love of Christ will transform us to make all of us more like Christ. So not everyone in church is actually born again. Mrs. Lafunki is saying, you are right, you know, what is the template for that home? Exactly. It's kind of confusing. What would they go by? What is guiding that home? What sets the expectations? I mean, yeah, that's why, like, Christian marriages, I feel like is the best thing. Having a Christian marriage is the best thing you can do for yourself. And a true Christian marriage where you seek to follow the Christian values, because it then sets expectations, it then sets a basis. You can discuss it with your partner and things. But when you just move in just like that, is what guides you? What guides you? And Mrs. Lafunki says some people believe a lot of marriages has ended in divorce, hence they don't want to marry. Okay, so one of the reasons why people cohabit is that they believe that a lot of marriage has ended in divorce. But it's true. It's true. A lot of even some Christians have gotten married and actually ended up divorced, you know, and that is something that we really need to work towards staying together as Christians, because that's what the Bible tells us. One partner for a lifetime, you know. And marriage isn't easy, but it's something that you continue working at. I saw a quote today. I was reminded of a quote. It's something I already know about the green grass. You know, when you see your neighbor's grass that is greener than your grass. Know that your neighbor has been watering their grass. Maybe they've been pouring some sort of thing. They've been maintaining their grass. That's why it's green. For those marriages that are still together today, it's because they maintain it. You know, marriage needs maintenance to sustain it. So if you're married watching this, keep on maintaining your marriage. If you're seeking to be married, please keep educating yourself. And all, whether you're married or single, you can equip yourself by staying tuned to Wise Attraction, because our goal here is for us, me, myself, my relationship to be developed with Christian values and to share those values as well. Final comment for tonight as we wrap up. Oh, we have another comment. This is not the final one. Ms. Lafunki is saying, oh, another reason is some people have said the wedding ceremony is too costly for just a paper. Okay, as we know as Christians, it is beyond a paper, and the ceremony does not have to be expensive. Exactly. I mean, it's so interesting because people can just go to court. How much is court? You just pay how much to the court and you're married. Like, that's so cheap. You don't even have to have a reception. Just take some pictures and share on Facebook so that people know that you're married, and that's all you need. It doesn't have to be elaborate. Yeah, and like she said, within Christianity, a marriage is a covenant, you know, is a lifelong bond. It's a covenant, not just between the two people, but between God and the two people. So it's like a three-way partnership that and that's why it can be sustained that way. That's how we aim to sustain it anyway. Thanks for that comment. And Karibi Awoju is saying the idea is so confusing. Yes, I agree with you. The idea of cohabiting, it is so confusing. You expect the commitment of a marriage relationship from a relationship that has no such binding. Exactly. You know when somebody just explain something you have in your mind but you don't know how to articulate. This is exactly my feeling regarding cohabiting. The idea is so you expect the commitment of a marriage relationship from a relationship that has no such binding. And just clearly by listening to Chioma and Paul, you see that they have that expectation, but they don't have the binding. You know, they don't have that. And Samuel is saying, what about people who cohabit because one of them is still married to someone else and divorce has been finalized? Oh my gosh. Anyway, this shouldn't be happening in a Christian marriage, but honestly, like, if you're married to someone else, please don't live with another person. It just makes things a bit messy, especially if you have children. You know, always consider your children. I mean, I'm not even saying things will be perfect. Life has its up and downs and things, but try to consider all parties involved. Consider if the person you got married to is in love with you, consider how they will feel even as things are not finalized, and also consider how it's going to impact on the children. You know, you're their role model. So please consider everybody involved, and may God help us all, even myself. May God help us all. Mrs. Lafunki is saying marriage is ordained by God. The devil does not want people to marry, so he will do everything to prevent a marriage union. That is so true. You know, one thing is that people, a lot of people have this wrong, I feel is wrong opinion that when you marry, it's meant to be honeymoon all the way. We're just gonna be, you know, jiving and things like that. No, marriage will test you. You'll be tried. You know, you will go through the fire and you will be refined as gold. If you have that kind of mindset, even when you face challenges, you just know that these challenges are coming to make me better, you know, to help me to be a better person, to learn how to live with people. Relationships are so beautiful, but they can be so challenging, you know. Bolu is saying, great thoughts, Karibi. Exactly, great thoughts. Mrs. Lafunki is saying the Prime Minister was living with his girlfriend and had a child with her whilst going through his divorce. He only just divorced and then just got married. Mr. Boris Johnson, we greet you. If you ever watch this, we greet you, sir. And clearly, he's not a born-again Christian. So for us, he's not an example. And I guess this is what he chooses to do. Thanks for sharing that, Mrs. Lafunki. And Mrs. Lafunki is also saying, anyway, the Prime Minister isn't our model. Exactly. The Word of God is our model as Christians. Yes, everyone chooses the culture and the model and the principles by which they will live their lives. And as Christians, we choose to live our lives by the Bible and by the word of God. So that is what we follow, and whatever pattern he lives his life is his choice, is his prerogative. Thanks everyone for participating in today's show. If you haven't subscribed to the Wise Attraction YouTube channel, please go ahead and do so now. It's been lovely chatting with you all. Thanks Bolu, Mrs. Lafunki, also Blessing Edepo. Thanks for commenting. I think cohabiting is not an idea status. It's not an idea status. Ideal status for a Christian lady. Exactly. Cohabiting is not ideal for a Christian lady. Thanks, Blessing, for sharing your views. Thanks, Carrie B. Thanks, Samuel. Thanks, everyone, for joining today. Please like and share this video. Feel free to carry on commenting, share your thoughts, and I'll see you next week. Don't forget to stop by the Wise Attraction store, wiseattraction.co.uk/shop to get your own beautiful African print bag. Thanks, Gabriel, for joining. And Samuel, what about what Christian leaders fail? When Christian leaders fail us, especially people who we look up to for a long time, our model is Christ. Is true. Even when Christian leaders fail us, everybody's a human being. People do things, for whatever reason they might fail us, but they're not our standard. God is our standard. Interesting episode. Thanks, Yukela. And Gabriel is saying, Bolu, thanks for sharing. All right, it's a wrap for us today. Thanks, everyone. See you same time next week. Have a lovely evening.